Know thyself. They've repeated it for centuries, but here's the brutal truth. Most men don't know themselves at all. They only know the mask society glued. That mask says, be agreeable, be easy, fit in. But masks crack, and when the mask breaks, so does your power, because your foundation was never yours. Power isn't gained by chasing attention. Chasing makes you dependent on crumbs. Power is gained by refusing the bait, holding ground, and letting energy move. If you don't master energy manipulation, you're not just weak, you're a pawn. And pawns don't write history. Pawns get sacrificed to protect kings. At 21, he walked into the party invisible. No money, no status, then silence, stillness, eyes steady, and suddenly everyone leaned closer, magnetized. He didn't beg for attention, he bent energy without words. He didn't prove himself, he forced others to ask who he truly was. What if the most powerful manipulation isn't loud? What if it isn't hustle, charm, or force, but quiet control that shifts gravity in your favor? Society trained you to move fast, talk much, show need, but every man who ever held true power mastered the opposite: stillness and standards. This isn't sorcery. It's presence. Presence unsettles because people can't control it. They expect you to dance for them. You don't. They start orbiting you. When you refuse to chase, you reverse polarity. Instead of pouring energy outward, you draw it inward. And suddenly, you become the stable point. Think about it. Why do monks radiate peace and mob bosses radiate fear? Different worlds, same principle. Stillness makes others question themselves, not you. If he talks endlessly to impress, you don't compete, you let silence carve his insecurity wide open. Silence makes noise louder than desperate words ever can. When you stop explaining, stop rushing, stop chasing, you stop bleeding energy. People lean in, wondering, why is he so steady while everyone else shakes? You've been sold lies, that being loud equals strength, but loud men hide weakness. Quiet men amplify presence. Stillness reveals who actually owns the room. Reframe this. He didn't lack words, he chose silence. He didn't lack moves, he waited. He didn't lack power, he redirected energy inward. Every man you admire, leaders, icons, mythic figures, was magnetic, not because they talked more, but because they controlled less. They didn't chase chaos, they embodied calm. So here's the ruthless promise. This channel won't flatter your ego. It will cut it down. You'll lose comfort, but you'll gain unshakable presence. If you refuse this lesson, you remain invisible, a man society programs, uses and discards. If you embrace it, you bend reality with your stillness. The mirror you've trusted has lied. That reflection isn't you, it's who they needed you to be. Smash it. Build the man behind the glass. Now the question, are you ready to stop performing for attention and start commanding it through stillness, standards, and the gravity of your true presence? Energy manipulation isn't sorcery, it's discipline. It's the way you redirect attention, presence, and standards. It's not about tricks, it's about unshakable control. You don't overpower people with noise, you train them by how you show up. Your presence teaches them how to respond before words even arrive. Most men try hacks, pick-up lines, forced charm, fake confidence, but gimmicks collapse. Standards don't. Stillness doesn't. Selectivity doesn't. These are the foundations that gravity grows from. Think about it. Who controls the room? The loud one begging for eyes, or the grounded one whose silence makes people uneasy until they lean closer? Energy flows towards stability. If you're chasing, you're unstable. If you're still, you're magnetic. You don't hunt energy. It bends toward your presence instead. This isn't mystical, it's testable. Next time you're tempted to fill silence, don't hold it. Watch how their body shifts before yours even moves. If he rushes to prove himself, you stay composed. If he floods the air with words, you carve silence. That's the training ground. Reframe it. He didn't dominate the room, he anchored it. He didn't speak first, he waited. He didn't force respect, he commanded it. You don't need everyone's approval. You need standards. Standards are invisible laws people feel without explanation. When you hold them, others unconsciously adjust their behavior around you. Energy manipulation is nothing more than disciplined presence. It's not about controlling others, it's about refusing to leak your power. That refusal reshapes reality. This is why tricks fail. Tricks manipulate moments. Standards manipulate patterns. Presence manipulates entire dynamics. That's the shift. From tactics to identity, from performance to grounded rule. You're not here for hacks. You're here to stop bleeding energy and start owning it. Control yourself first. Watch how the world bends differently. Every room you enter carries an invisible frame. You either accept it as given, or you bend it to your own standard and presence. Most men never realize this trap. They walk into rooms already programmed to chase, to please, to adjust themselves without questioning who set the frame. When you laugh too fast, agree too quick, or seek approval, nobody hates you, but nobody respects you either. You're tolerated, not valued. That's the trap. Energy leaks. You spend all your focus reacting to other people's frames instead of building one solid enough to stand unshaken. Ask yourself, why do some men walk in and shift the entire atmosphere without saying a word? What force bends attention their way so easily? It isn't luck, looks, or money. It's the frame they carry. Their energy says, I don't chase, I set the terms, you respond. If he demands validation, you withhold attention. If he insists you match his energy, you slow down and force him to match yours. Reframe this. He didn't dominate the conversation, he directed it. He didn't beg for agreement, he created standards others unconsciously aligned with to feel safe. Here's the hard truth. Attraction, respect, and influence are downstream of frame. If your energy collapses, everything else collapses. Charisma, confidence, even competence won't save you. You wonder, what if I'm not attractive yet? Doesn't matter. Attraction starts in energy, not genetics. Build presence first. Looks only amplify what's already there. Every man knows the desperation of overgiving. You pour out attention, hoping for scraps of validation. What happens? They sense weakness. You sink lower. The man with frame flips it. He invests energy carefully. He withholds when others demand. And paradoxically, people chase the one who doesn't chase. So, test this. Next time someone pushes for approval, don't give it. Hold back. Watch how silence unsettles them, and suddenly they lean toward you. This is why frame is everything. Without it, you're at the mercy of external energy. With it, you dictate the unspoken rules of engagement. Think of leaders you respect. They weren't loudest. They weren't the neediest. They bent frames simply by embodying standards and refusing to sell out presence. Reframe again. He didn't need to entertain, he needed to anchor. She didn't test him because she was cruel. She tested because stability attracts security. Every test you face is about frame. Will you fold or will you hold? Fail once and you bleed energy. Hold steady and you rise. Society rigs men to forget this. Culture tells you to be agreeable, endlessly adaptive, always yielding. But the agreeable man becomes invisible, seen but never respected. Frame doesn't mean arrogance. It means stability. It means you are the axis, not the pawn. Everything else rotates because you refuse to be moved. Once you understand this, rooms feel different. You stop chasing energy. You start noticing how fast others cave. You realize you can bend dynamics quietly. The energy frame trap is subtle but lethal. If you don't see it, you spend life dancing for scraps. If you master it, you command. And mastery starts small. One room, one moment, one withheld laugh, one silence held longer than expected. Suddenly, the frame bends and respect begins to shift. Energy is gravity. Gravity doesn't chase planets. Planets orbit gravity. Decide today whether you'll keep orbiting frames set by others or become the gravity yourself. You're either reacting or directing. Reacting means weakness. Directing means strength. And strength doesn't need to scream. It just holds, and everything else falls into line. That's why you're here. To stop leaking energy, to stop entering rooms like a follower, and start bending frames with presence, silence, and standards. If he talks louder, you lower your voice. If he tries to dominate, you stay composed. If he pushes harder, you slow down further. That's how you bend frames. Not by fighting fire with fire, but by being water steady, unyielding, shaping everything without breaking yourself. Ruthless, calm control. Every man must choose, remain trapped in invisible frames, or master them. If you refuse mastery, you're a pawn. If you accept, you're the board. This is not optional. Frame governs relationships, respect and influence. Ignore it, and you live life in chains. Master it, and you set men free. So next time you enter a room, remember, there's always a frame waiting. Don't step inside blindly. Step in as the man who bends it. Frame is invisible, but everyone feels it. Some chase it, some surrender to it. But the rare man holds it, shapes it, and bends the world. The choice is brutal, but simple. Be the man who enters a room programmed to please, or the man who enters programmed to command. Stop bleeding energy into traps. Stop surrendering your presence to unworthy frames. Own the axis, own the gravity, own the silence, then everything bends to you. This is the energy frame trap. Recognize it, resist it, and reverse it. Because until you do, you'll never own the respect you're chasing. Why do monks and mob bosses share the same secret? Because stillness bends men faster than noise. Silence isn't weakness, it's controlled power. At the cafe, two men spoke. One fidgeted, words spilling. The other leaned back, silent. Guess whose opinion set the tone? Exactly. Silence unsettles. Stillness stretches time. In that gap, people project onto you. They wonder what you're thinking. Curiosity always outranks chatter. If he talks to fill space, you let the silence carve respect. If he chases comfort, you let discomfort rewrite his behavior. You think they'll label you awkward. Wrong. At first, yes, they itch, they twitch. Then curiosity takes over. Awkwardness dissolves into gravity. He didn't lack words, he lacked weight. She didn't lose interest, she lost mystery. Stillness doesn't repel, it pulls attention tighter than words. Society trained you to fear silence. Teachers scolded pauses. Bosses rewarded fast talk. But men who bend energy know silence is negotiation's knife. Stillness shows you're not desperate for approval. You're not scrambling to sell yourself. You stand there like time itself, unchanged, unhurried, unbothered. Watch any room. Loud men dominate seconds. Silent men dominate minutes. The one who holds silence becomes the mirror everyone else calibrates themselves against. Here's the shift. Your value isn't improving, it's in holding, in resisting the urge to fill. That patience creates inevitability. Reframe it. He didn't intimidate by speaking louder, he intimidated by not needing noise. She didn't chase silence, she respected it because it meant control. Every pause is a frame. Every lean back is a statement. Every calm breath is louder than 10 explanations. Stillness is never empty. It's charged. Energy is not infinite. Every text, every glance, every late-night scroll costs you, but men act like attention is free. It's not. You waste energy trying to impress everyone, hoping something sticks. That's not strategy. That's bleeding out slowly. Gravity comes from focus, not from scattering. He texted 10 girls daily, none cared. He cut 9 off, spoke with one deliberately. Suddenly she couldn't stop checking her phone. That's the law. When you condense energy, value rises. When you spray it everywhere, you teach people to treat it like background noise. Selective investment isn't cruelty, it's respect for your time. Every yes becomes cheaper if you don't back it with enough no. If he spreads thin, you condense. If he floods attention, you drip it with precision. Scarcity is gravity. Abundance without boundaries is weakness. You ask, when do I make a move? The answer, when your standards are visible. Action without frame looks desperate, not deliberate. Standards are silent contracts. They say, I don't chase, I choose. I don't explain, I expect. You're not buying approval, you're selling access. She didn't admire you because you overgave. She admired you when you pulled back. He didn't respect you for yes. He respected your no. Energy without selectivity is noise. Energy with selectivity is music. The right note, held long enough, can silence a whole room. Micro decisions matter. Reply later. Speak shorter. Enter slower. Every delay is a signal. You're not rushed. You're teaching the room to orbit your tempo. Watch any high-value man. He isn't everywhere. He isn't everything. He chooses his stage, his company, his fights. That's why people lean closer. Reframe it. He didn't get more because he gave more. He got more because he gave less to fewer with higher intention. Selective investment isn't passive, it's offensive. You're not ignoring life. You're positioning energy like a sniper, not a machine gun. One shot changes everything. The trap is thinking availability makes you desirable. Wrong. Availability without scarcity is cheapness. Scarcity with depth is magnetism. Choose less. Invest harder. You don't climb by clinging. You climb by pruning. By cutting what bleeds energy, you rise. Every no sharpens every yes into power. He didn't rise by flooding everyone with attention. He rose by starving distractions. She didn't lean closer because he was available. She leaned because he withheld. Your energy is your empire. Leak it everywhere, and you'll rule nothing. Guard it, channel it, and people will gather at your gates. Selective investment is control. It's not about punishment. It's about gravity. You move slower but heavier. That weight forces others to bend. When you condense energy, you stop chasing momentum. You create it. Rooms slow down around you. People recalibrate. That's power. Not speed, but orbit. He didn't show strength by answering instantly. He showed strength by choosing silence. She didn't want every text. She wanted the gap that built tension. Investment is math. 10 cheap signals equal nothing. One precise move shifts perception permanently. Stop wasting signals. Choose like a king, not like a beggar. If he floods, you filter. If he clings, you cut. If he apologizes for taking space, you double down on stillness. Selective investment is masculine discipline. It demands restraint. It demands patience. It demands patience. It demands patience. It demands patience. It demands you'd rather lose attention than lose gravity. That's the difference. Energy spreads naturally, but power doesn't spread. It condenses. The sun doesn't chase planets. It burns in place. That's why everything revolves around it. He didn't gain respect by availability. He gained it by boundaries. She didn't find him magnetic because he chased. She found him magnetic because he waited. You don't ask, "When do I move?" You let them ask, "Why isn't he moving yet?" Curiosity is leverage. Silence is bait. Every moment of patience is a pressure point. Every delay builds gravity. Every refusal thickens mystery. Energy isn't multiplied by motion, it's magnified by stillness. He didn't prove worth by chasing validation. He proved it by denying cheap access. She didn't commit because he begged. She committed because he filtered. Your discipline in withholding becomes the story they tell themselves. They wonder, why him? The answer, because you weren't everywhere, you were rare. Selective investment separates boys from men. Boys flood, men condense. Boys try to please everyone. Men choose their orbit and let others fight for entry. Gravity isn't loud. It isn't quick. It's patient wait. You don't pull people in by explaining. You pull them in by holding. Reframe this forever. Attention is currency. Spend it cheap. You stay broke. Invest it with scarcity, you build wealth. That's the law. Thoth's secret was simple. Energy flows toward the most stable point. People think they chase charisma. They don't. They chase grounding. They chase gravity. What if you didn't chase? What if they came toward you? What if instead of fighting noise, you became the silence that swallows noise? In a room full of noise, one man wrote quietly in his notebook. Within minutes, 3 people asked what he was working on. That's the invisible pull. You don't demand attention, you bend it, because presence without need is rare, and rarity always pulls eyes like magnetism. If they seek chaos, you embody calm. If they perform for laughs, you anchor stillness. Whoever controls tempo controls perception. That's invisible leadership. He didn't get noticed by shouting louder. He got noticed by standing still. She didn't lean in because he demanded. She leaned because he didn't. Your nervous system is contagious. If you're frantic, they're frantic. If you're grounded, they regulate around you. People calibrate to your state unconsciously. Watch leaders in any setting. They don't fidget. They don't rush. They hold steady. Everyone else speeds up or slows down to their rhythm. You ask, but won't they forget me if I stay quiet? Wrong. They'll forget the noise. They'll remember the one who didn't flinch. Noise fights for seconds. Stillness owns minutes. Calm is remembered because it unsettles. People don't expect calm. They can't compete with it. They surrender. The invisible pull is about non-reactivity. Every reaction bleeds authority. Every pause thickens it. The less you chase, the more they adjust. Micro decisions matter. Hold eye contact 1 beat longer. Move slower when entering. Speak after the room quiets. Each choice whispers, I am unshaken. Energy doesn't flow to the loudest. It flows to the steadiest. Gravity isn't frantic, it's patient weight. Presence is heavy, and people orbit it naturally. Reframe this. He didn't intimidate by force. He intimidated by being immovable. She didn't admire because he performed. She admired because he radiated inevitability. Here's the trap. You think you win attention by proving, but proving is chasing. Gravity is not proven, it's felt without explanation. Attraction is downstream of frame. Frame is downstream of stillness. The quieter you are inside, the louder you are outside. That's paradoxical dominance. He didn't command respect by pushing, he commanded respect by never needing to push. She didn't wonder about others, she wondered why he seemed untouchable. Stop trying to pull everyone's eyes. Eyes follow stability. Attention is drawn to whoever holds center. You don't run after it, you hold until it bends. Invisible pull is not performance, it's discipline. Anyone can fake confidence. Few can anchor calm when chaos explodes. That difference separates men who chase from men who attract. Gravity tests patience. At first, they ignore. Then curiosity grows. Curiosity turns to pull. Pull turns to pursuit. All because you didn't scatter your energy. Reframes are permanent truths. He didn't attract because he chased. He attracted because he waited. She didn't respect his noise. She respected his stillness. This is your work. Not volume, not tricks, not hacks. Ground yourself. Slow down. Let the room adjust to you, not the reverse. When they expect hunger, show indifference. When they expect reaction, show stillness. When they expect speed, slow down. Inversion creates intrigue. Intrigue builds gravity. He didn't win by competing for stage time. He won by being the stage. She didn't crave answers. She craved the mystery silence created. People follow presence like water follows gravity. You don't see it, but it pulls everything subtly. That's why calm men look magnetic without effort. Invisible pull means one thing. You stop chasing credit, attention, validation. You anchor yourself so hard that the world has to orbit you. Every king sits still while others announce him. Every general stands calm while armies roar. Stillness has always been the loudest form of power. Ask yourself, what's rarer today? Another loud mouth, or a man immune to noise? Rarity always wins. Scarcity is attractive. Stillness is scarce. He didn't inspire trust by being everywhere. He inspired trust by being unshaken. She didn't pursue him because he tried. She pursued because he didn't. Invisible pull starts with your nervous system. Breathe slower, blink less, speak last. Every micro-stillness radiates depth. People chase depth like oxygen in a shallow world. If he over-explains, you understate. If he rushes, you slow. If he collapses into chaos, you rise into calm. Stability bends energy. Stop asking how to attract. Start asking how stable am I? Stability is leverage. Stability is magnetism. Stability is the rarest dominance left. The pull is not magic, it's mechanics. Energy flows toward the steadiest signal. Be that signal, and you'll never compete for attention again. He didn't hold power by chasing applause. He held power by controlling tempo. She didn't lean in because he begged. She leaned in because he paused. You'll notice the less you try to grab attention, the more it clings to you. Chase it, and it runs. Hold still, and it returns. Invisible pull is leadership without speeches. Presence without performance. command without demand. The most stable man in the room wins. Always. That's the law. A man's standards are not words. They are boundaries that bend reality. When you hold the line, people feel it without explanation or force. Standards are magnetic. They signal, here is the line, approach if you can rise. Weak men lower their bar. Strong men raise it silently. You want loyalty? Don't demand it. Don't beg for it. Live by rules, so clean they filter every coward before they can even enter. Story. One man never begged for loyalty. His rule? Anyone who lied once was cut. Result? Fewer friends, but all solid, unbreakable. That's the paradox. When you cut, you don't shrink. You grow denser, sharper, more magnetic. The ones remaining feel anchored, not abandoned. Ruthless question. Won't I lose people? Yes, but only the wrong ones. The right ones rise when you stop lowering yourself to keep company. Here's the rule. If they cross your boundary, you exit without noise. No debate, no argument, no fireworks. Just presence withdrawn, absolute silence. He didn't fight, he vanished. She didn't chase, she noticed absence. Silence rearranges behavior faster than noise ever could. Quiet speaks louder than lectures. Why does it work? Because energy flows toward the most stable point. If you are unmoved, the unstable must orbit or leave entirely. Think, a fire burns hottest at its center. Your standards are that center. They pull attention without asking. Like gravity, no one can deny. But here's the catch. Standards only work if lived. If you bluff, you're exposed. If you fold, the whole magnetic field collapses instantly. Question for you. What does your silence mean right now? Does it mean calm strength, or does it mean weakness hiding behind fear? Because men confuse withdrawal with cowardice. True withdrawal is selective. It's measured. It says, I don't fight everything. I preserve energy for what matters. Reframe this. He didn't avoid conflict. He refused chaos. She didn't admire weakness. She trusted steadiness. Your stillness becomes signal, not excuse, not disguise. Standards aren't chains for others. They're shields for you. They protect your time, energy, and dignity. They protect the core from contamination. The stronger the shield, the fewer arrows strike. The weaker the shield, the more wounds you justify. Which story are you writing daily? Rule of clarity. If he plays games, you play absence. If he mocks boundaries, you cut contact. If she disrespects, you disappear instantly. Notice something. People test lines. They push, they poke, they measure, not to destroy you, but to feel where strength lives. Will they find it? You don't announce boundaries, you embody them. Announcements are invitations to challenge. Embodiment is unshakable. They sense it like a dog senses fear or certainty. Your standards create a magnetic field. They are not demands, they are declarations. They say, rise or leave. No middle ground, no bargain. Fear whispers, what if I end alone? Truth whispers louder, better alone in strength than surrounded in weakness. Which whisper do you obey? Remember, one strong no is worth 10 fake yeses. Standards are the scalpel that cuts illusion away, leaving reality sharp, lean, and undeniable. He didn't punish betrayal, he replaced it with distance. She didn't beg for loyalty, she respected the silence of absence more than noise of excuses. People feel safer near men with lines. Why? Because boundaries make behavior predictable. Chaos confuses, standards stabilize. and stability is the sexiest currency alive. So when you set standards, you don't repel, you refine. You don't push people out, you draw the right ones close and expose the rest. Ask yourself, where is your weakest line? That's where energy leaks. That's where attraction fails. That's where people learn they can disrespect without consequence. Fix that line, and the field changes overnight. You won't need speeches. You won't need performance. Just presence plus enforcement equals respect without words. Reframe. He didn't control people, he controlled himself. She didn't admire manipulation, she admired stability. Real magnetism is self-control disguised as effortless gravity. Magnetism isn't loud. It's not showmanship. It's quiet. Steady pressure. Standards lived, not spoken. That's what bends people toward you or away from you. And here's the truth. If they leave because of standards, they were never aligned. If they rise, they were meant to orbit your field. That's how you manipulate energy without force. That's how you hold the line without speeches. That's how you stop chasing and start leading silently. Final reminder. Standards are magnetic because they demand respect without saying a word. When you embody them, energy organizes. When you compromise, energy scatters everywhere. Your task: audit your standards. Cut the weak lines, reinforce the strong ones, make them visible without announcement, and watch the field shift immediately. Silence plus consistency equals influence. Consistency plus enforcement equals magnetism. Magnetism plus standards equals respect. And respect is the currency every man actually wants. So you ask again, won't I lose people? Yes, and good, because losing the wrong ones is how you make space for the right ones. And in that space, people gather because standards create gravity. And gravity does not beg, explain, or chase. It simply pulls without permission, without apology, without end. Energy is stolen most often when you talk too much. Every extra word you spill is another leak. Over-explaining is the enemy of power. Have you noticed how quickly you scramble to justify yourself? The faster you explain, the weaker you look. The silence always exposes desperation. Here's the trap. You think proving yourself earns respect. It doesn't. It drains it. Respect comes when you withhold, when you hold your words hostage. Drill. When someone questions you, answer once, then stop. Hold eye contact. Let silence hang. If they need clarity, they'll ask again. Not before. Story. A boss questioned a man. He gave one sentence, then silence. The boss nodded. Meeting ended. Power sat in brevity, not performance. Rule. If he pressures you, you slow down. If he raises his tone, you lower yours. Control tempo, control energy. Pace is dominance. Reframe. He didn't argue, he clarified. He didn't ramble, he refined. Precision made him magnetic. Gravity framed him as immovable instead of insecure. What happens when you pause? People lean forward. They wonder what comes next. Their energy is redirected toward you instead of you chasing theirs. Think of silence as a test. Can you endure the discomfort without breaking? Can you trust your words so much they don't need backup? If she challenges you, don't explain her into agreement. Let her sit with her own thought. Respect grows in space, not in noise. Here's the key. Silence is not absence. Silence is presence amplified. It says, I'm here, I've spoken, and I will not bargain my stance. Try this drill today. Speak once, stop, count to 5 in your head. Let them respond first. You'll feel the energy shift instantly. Because when you rush, you confess weakness. When you slow, you dictate rhythm. Rhythm decides respect. And respect is always negotiated non-verbally. First, he didn't justify, he declared. She didn't chase his reasoning, she respected his confidence. His calm became the gravity pulling her attention, not his words. What about when someone tries cornering you with pressure? Remember the rule: if he speeds up, you slow down. If he pushes, you lean back. Energy is redirected, not resisted. Resistance creates tension. Redirection creates flow. Which man wins? The rigid wall or the one who bends and guides? Another drill. During conversations, notice when your chest tightens, when your tongue races. That's energy leaving. Instead, breathe, anchor, and speak fewer words, slower. Your presence should feel like a rock in a river. Water rushes around, but you remain still. Energy bends. Attention collects around you. Reframe again. He didn't stall, he composed himself. She didn't lose interest. She leaned closer. Space builds intrigue. Brevity creates weight. Silence becomes your ally. Final reminder: energy follows stability. The man who needs nothing commands everything. Stop leaking. Stop chasing. Speak less. Pause more. Redirect energy. That's magnetic control. Social gravity makes people move toward you. Social debt makes you move toward them. Which one drains your power? Which one compounds it? Here's the truth. Social debt feels generous in the moment, but bankrupts you long-term. Gravity feels selfish, but it multiplies respect over time. Story: he lent money, gave rides, answered 2 a.m. calls. Everyone used him. He stopped favors. Within weeks, friends disappeared like smoke. That was the test. They weren't friends. They were parasites orbiting convenience. When convenience died, so did their loyalty. Harsh, but liberating clarity. Rule: if they only call for favors, you decline. No apologies, no explanations. Your energy is not an endless loan, it's capital. Doubt arises. Isn't that selfish? Wrong question. Selfishness is taking from others. Self-respect is protecting your boundaries. If you're empty, who exactly are you helping? Gravity doesn't chase, it holds position. Planets don't beg moons to stay. They orbit naturally. Your standards work the same. Stability attracts, weakness negotiates endlessly. He didn't beg, he cut noise. She didn't lose him, she lost her supply. The moment supply dried up, truth revealed itself. When you say no, you reveal who values you versus who values access. The reaction exposes everything. A friend leaving is information. Why do you think powerful men are rarely available for random favors? Because availability without filter erodes stature. Scarcity reinforces demand. Respect tracks scarcity. If he overextends, you withdraw. If they demand endlessly, you reset the line. Rule: generosity should be conscious, not compulsive. Chosen, not coerced. You attract when your presence feels costly, not cheap. If anyone can drain you anytime, you're a faucet. Faucets leak. Reservoirs command reverence. Reframe: he didn't abandon them, he tested them. She didn't get betrayed, she revealed her dependence. Tests filter faster than words ever could. Social debt whispers, you owe me. Social gravity declares, earn me. Which voice will you follow? Which voice builds respect that endures? Stop mistaking debt for depth. If your circle vanishes the moment you decline, you never had a circle, you had consumers, not comrades. Ask yourself, who orbits when you do nothing? Who disappears when you stop giving? That's the difference between gravity and debt. That's your map, because you don't rise by running errands for validation. You rise by holding center, watching who stays without strings. That's gravity. That's leadership. Masculine energy is not about tricks. It's not about bending people. It's about clarity and direction. Without those, respect evaporates. With them, respect compounds. She didn't follow him because he was clever. She followed because he knew where he was going. Certainty attracts. Confusion repels. Simplicity wins. The masculine refrain: you don't get respect, you train people to align with your standards. Respect is taught, not granted. Discipline builds it. Every standard you enforce is a line in stone. People test it, you hold it. That consistency anchors trust. That's masculine leadership. Rule: if they doubt your path, you keep walking. Leaders don't debate their direction with doubters. They continue. Those aligned will follow naturally. She didn't test his cleverness. She tested his compass. He didn't win her with persuasion. He won her by refusing to question himself. As clarity doesn't shout. It walks straight. Confusion negotiates endlessly, explaining itself into exhaustion. Direction is silent magnetism. When you know, you don't plead, you command. What's manipulation without integrity? Empty theater. What's direction with clarity? Gravity. You don't bend reality to people, you bend people to reality you've chosen. If he fumbles, you tighten. If they wander, you remain centered. Rule: masculinity doesn't chase compliance. It trains alignment. Others adjust or depart. Story: the clever man convinced her for one night. The clear man commanded her respect for years. Trickery fades. Direction compounds. Standards echo. She didn't admire his smoothness. She admired his steadiness. He didn't pull her with lines. He pulled her with the certainty of destination. The masculine frame is not manipulation. It's responsibility. Responsibility to truth, to standards, to vision. When you carry those, you don't chase influence. It arrives. What happens when you lose direction? Everything else collapses. No cleverness, no charm, no charisma will cover that void. Visionless men become forgettable men. You anchor by refusing confusion. You command by walking straight. That's why the masculine refrain matters. People respect not tricks, but unwavering clarity. Ask yourself, are you practicing manipulation or responsibility? Are you training people to align or begging for their fleeting approval? One path enslaves, one frees. Stop thinking respect is something you collect. Start realizing respect is something you radiate. Standards taught consistently create gravity. Gravity doesn't ask, it commands silently. He didn't outtalk rivals, he outlasted them. He didn't seduce, he stabilized. People orbit stability. That's the masculine reframe. Clarity over tricks, direction over games. She didn't doubt his words, she trusted his path. He didn't demand validation, he lived his vision. The walk was proof. The proof converted. If he blurs his path, you sharpen yours. If they resist your standards, you enforce them calmly. Rule direction requires persistence, not apology. Masculine presence is not loudness. It's stillness that cuts through chaos. People crave anchors. When you embody clarity, you become that anchor. influence follows automatically. What she respects is not your persuasion, it's your persistence. What men admire is not your cleverness, it's your conviction. That's what masculinity projects effortlessly. Clarity plus direction equals gravity. Without them, you drift. With them, you draw. That's not trickery, that's responsibility. That's the masculine reframe. Learn it, live it. Because in the end, manipulation fades, but responsibility compounds. Tricks win nights, standards win lifetimes. Masculinity is clarity in motion, anchored in responsibility, directed by vision. He didn't chase, he moved forward. She didn't fall for him, she aligned with him. Gravity doesn't beg, it stands. Respect responds, always. The masculine reframe is simple. Stop scheming, start steering. Stop bending people, start holding vision. People don't follow tricks, they follow direction. Be that direction. When you stop begging and start walking, everything shifts. Doubters fall away. Followers reveal themselves. Respect compounds, masculinity clarifies. That's the reframe you must embody daily. Because you don't need to convince. You need to continue. You don't need to manipulate. You need to anchor. Masculine energy clarifies, direction dignifies. That's final. And here's the truth. You can fake charm for moments, but you cannot fake clarity for years. Masculinity is measured in years, not nights. So keep walking, keep sharpening, keep refusing confusion. Masculinity is not games, it's guidance. Reframe manipulation into responsibility. Reframe persuasion into presence. That's how you lead. He didn't stay silent, he spoke with clarity. He didn't please everyone, he enforced standards. He didn't hide weakness, he cultivated strength. He didn't agree to everything, he chose carefully. He didn't bend constantly, he stood firm. These reframes free you from culture's invisible leash. Culture says, be nice, be agreeable. Translation, become invisible. You think compliance earns love, but compliance breeds erasure. Respect never comes from vanishing. Story, his boss praised effort endlessly, yet promoted the man who spoke less but led clearer. Energy wins through direction, not desperate agreement. Reframe, stop thinking power equals pleasing. Start realizing power equals positioning. Pleasers drown in demands. Anchors rise through stability. Which are you training people to see? If culture says yield, you test standing firm. Rule, if he collapses under pressure, you remain unshaken. Leadership isn't noise, it's immovable presence. He didn't lose opportunities, he filtered them. He didn't get overlooked, he got revealed. That's the game. Exposure versus erosion. Which side are you on? When society whispers, be softer, quieter, nicer, ask, who benefits if you weaken? The answer is never you. Weakness feeds others, never yourself. Reframe weakness as misdirection. Strength is not aggression, it's gravity. It holds its place. It doesn't clamor for attention. It demands recognition through stillness. Who profits from your obedience? Who grows fat on your silence? Who advances while you yield? Ask these questions. The answers will infuriate you. Strength is presence, not apology. Energy respects firmness, not flattery. Stop rehearsing niceness. Start rehearsing clarity. The old program dissolves the moment you walk differently. Every man is offered two scripts: be agreeable and fade, or be anchored and remembered. Your choice determines your orbit. Choose deliberately. He didn't blend in, he broke out. He didn't echo others, he forged direction. He didn't beg approval, he built gravity. He didn't entertain weakness, he weaponized standards. He didn't crave praise, he demanded alignment. These reframes are not tricks, they are survival. They are masculine necessity. Culture raised you to obey. Nature requires you to stand. Every step toward stillness is rebellion. Every refusal to yield is remembrance. So break the program. Stop being invisible. Stop selling your edges for scraps of validation. Stand, lead, endure. That's how men reclaim themselves. He didn't demand respect, he embodied standards. He didn't chase approval, he withheld energy until it was earned. He didn't fill silence. He didn't lose friends. He filtered liabilities. He didn't manipulate people. He redirected his own energy, and others adjusted. These are reframes. These are anchors. Respect wasn't extracted through arguments. Respect arrived because he lived standards daily. People sense when your actions match your rules, and they align accordingly. Approval wasn't chased like scraps. Approval became irrelevant when he guarded his energy. When you withhold access, you teach others your time is sacred. Silence wasn't weakness. Silence was pressure. Stillness bent the room. By holding pauses, he forced others to confront themselves. That's how gravity is built. Friends weren't lost. Friends were filtered. The real ones stayed. The takers drifted. Loss wasn't failure. It was clarity disguised as departure. Manipulation wasn't his tool. Direction was. He didn't twist people. He stood firm in his course. Others adjusted naturally or revealed their misalignment. Every reframe is a mirror. Every standard is a filter. You're not tricking anyone. You're teaching them how to treat you through unshaken action. Understand this. The world mirrors your calibration. Lower your bar, they crawl. Hold your bar, they climb. You don't get what you want. You enforce. You don't earn respect by begging. You anchor it by refusing to bend. People either rise or exit. Both outcomes strengthen your frame. The man who chases approval drowns in exhaustion. The man who withholds energy multiplies value. Selectivity turns ordinary interactions into undeniable tests of alignment. Stillness is not absence. Stillness is charge. It carries the weight of untold words. In stillness, others feel their own nervous scramble, magnified. Filtering isn't cruelty, it's survival. You cut liabilities not to punish, but to preserve. The fewer distractions, the more force your energy holds. Energy redirected is leadership. When you stop trying to fix people, you start directing yourself. The world bends to men who know their vector. He didn't seek validation, he embodied worth. He didn't perform strength, he lived principle. He didn't beg inclusion, he chose standards. That's the masculine reframe. Behaviors are not identities. You judge actions, not souls. Influence is not coercion. Consent is sacred. Respect begins where force ends. Standards demand freedom, not control. Redirecting energy is not manipulation, it's maintenance. You protect your frame by filtering what drains you. Guarding your direction is discipline, not deception. If the struggle runs deeper, mental health, legal fire, financial chaos, don't gamble with shortcuts. Seek trained professionals, not YouTube tactics. Survival deserves expertise, not borrowed advice. Carry this forward humbly. You're accountable for your influence. Consent is non-negotiable. Standards elevate, never exploit. That's the line between mastery and misuse.